Hey guys, Angie to break down UFC 296, Edwards versus Covington for the welterweight title. Unfortunately, I didn't get to break down this one, but I'm certainly going to recap it. A really great event. The main card, the fights maybe weren't so competitive as what we thought they may have been. The rest of the fights were really great. It was a really good night. And I have to say I'm really happy that the main event turned out the way it did just because of all the drama that happened that week. I wish I got to do a breakdown because I thought coming to this fight, for Colby especially, there would have been mountains of pressure on him. I mean, how many people get 3 chances to fight for the title? It's kind of unheard of unless you really work for it. So I thought that alone was a massive, massive pressure to carry. And so I thought, if he can get over that, then that'll be the main obstacle for him. Also coming into the fight, I thought, Colby was, presenting himself well. Colby does make everything more exciting, whether you love or hate him, but then he did certainly take it too far in the presser with insulting Leon's late father. That was too much, and it probably would have been okay in hindsight if he had shown a little bit of humility after he lost the fight and even apologized, just to even come out of character for a second, because I think if he had done that, he may have kept a few fans, or he could have won a few fans back, because I think we want to see a little bit of humility out of Colby now, because he hasn't really lived up to what he said he was going to do, and he did not fight it all the way that we expected in the fight. For Leon, I thought that he looked really amazing all week. He had a very good, confident, positive vibe, and it just felt like, we knew we were going to get the best Leon, but it was a matter of how Colby would show up. So Leon defeats Colby Covington by unanimous decision, 49-46. Pretty much a one-sided fight. Leon definitely and clearly won 4 rounds to 1. Colby didn't get going. He didn't go forward. And the reason being is because Leon's southpaw and he came out orthodox, and Colby had based his entire game plan and strategy over Leon being southpaw, so he was going to go take down Leon from his right leg, and Leon was not standing for long in southpaw or at all, and he was fighting in orthodox, and Colby had based his entire game off that. And because that's such a comfort for him, because he is a wrestler, it completely threw him off, and he was a bit stunned for a few rounds. In the first few rounds, he just stood in front of Leon, and this was the way Leon was going to win easily, standing at range, pressuring Colby back a bit as well, and Colby was completely disabled. He was disabled. He just didn't know what to work with. It's a bit like Izzy and Sean Strickland, because Izzy couldn't get his jab going. That's what he builds his game off. He couldn't get going in that fight. Same thing happened here with Leon. I thought it was a very smart tactic. Someone I was listening to mentioned that Colby likes to always go for the right leg, but I can't remember who I was listening to. So it was a very easy fight for Leon. It looked like he was in gear 2 or 3. He didn't really have to go. He didn't get pushed, and he was easily picking apart Colby from the outside. He even ended up exchanging in some takedowns as well. Colby tried a few. He got 1 or 2. By the time he started to actually fight like Colby, it was way too late. It was round 5. That was a bit disappointing for Colby. Very similar in a way to the last Usman fight for Colby, that he just didn't get going until it was too late. This is what happens when you stay out of the game and think you've got privilege to just fight again for the title. It's almost a very good lesson in this, that you can have all the privilege in the world, but if you don't actually truly deserve something, it won't work for you. So I'm just happy that Leon won in this way, because it's kind of, I didn't want to say Colby deserved it, but he kind of did. But he would have made it okay if he apologized to Leon in the public. It's fine to play a character, but if you're always playing the character, you start to become that character, and then you can't break out of it, and then you become disillusional, and I think that happened to Colby a bit. If you start believing your own shit, you're going to end up being full of shit. So I just wish I would have loved Colby if he just had shown a glimmer of humanity and just apologized to Leon or whatever. But then he's in complete denial, saying he thought he won that fight. Of course he didn't think he won it, so that's what happens. But I feel so happy for Leon and his team. I think this is the best way, actually, Leon could have beaten Colby, because it's humiliating for him. Leon didn't even have to try to beat him. It was probably his easiest fight ever. And even though he took a few chances in the wrestling and was in a vulnerable situation to end the fight, he still beat Colby at his best, so it was really great to see. I think a lot of people may have also been really disappointed in the way this fight went because they were really expecting it to be competitive. I think we all were, but that's what happens when you're not prepared to fight the best in the world. You can't just turn up after not fighting for 2 years, be an older style of fighter, and expect to pressure Leon. His team are excellent. Just the Orthodox thing alone won them this fight. It's incredible. This switch stance stuff is very much a new era thing. The newer fighters are doing this, but the older fighters, they never really grew up with it, so it's tough for them to adapt. And I think that's exactly what this fight says. It says that the game passes you by so quickly, and if you're not in it and adapting with it, you're gonna just look like an idiot. So what's next? For Leon, I want to see him fight Belal Muhammad. I think Belal's the rightful number one contender. Even though the first fight that they had ended in eye poke, Leon Edwards was beating the shit out of him. He looks really good. I know Belal's improved a lot since then, and I think it will actually be a competitive fight now. I don't know who I would favour though. I love Belal Muhammad's heart and relentlessness and toughness. He'll probably give us the fight that we were expecting with Colby, if I'm being honest. So I think that'd be great. SHAVKAT Rachmonov, which I'm going to talk about later, I think he still needs another fight before he's ready for Leon. If he fights Leon now, he won't be ready. That's just what I think. Colby, yeah, he wants Wonder Boy next. That's not a bad matchup. But do yourself a favour, Colby, and know that even though you're playing this character and you don't want to show any of yourself anymore, you would have more fans now if you just showed a little bit of the true Colby. Unless you're a real asshole, but I think it'd be good for Colby to I just feel like that post-fight interview in the octagon, he could have apologized. So for the co-main, the flyweight title, Alexandre Pantoja retains his belt by defeating Brandon Royval by unanimous decision. It was a very dominant performance for Alexandre Pantoja. Brandon Royval couldn't get going, and then he would just get taken down and controlled on the ground. He did have some success later in the fight where he tried to fight back, but it was too late. He just got cancelled again with the ground game of Pantoja. He fought very well though. He survived in a lot of really bad positions. He had a few good shots too. Pantoja landed some good shots on him too and nearly gassed out at the end of the first round, and then he rested the second round by grappling and just laying on him. You felt a little bit bad for Royval, but Pantoja is class. He behaves the way a champion should. So it was really good because I think we need some dominant champions again now because we've lost a few. So it's really great that Leon and Pantoja have retained their belts just for the promotion's sake and the credibility. You always need someone who's dominant. So maybe not quite the competitive fight again that we were expecting. Raw Dog's crazy, and we would have liked to see maybe an older Raw Dog, Brandon Royval that is, but what can you do when you're up against the best in the world? So I think he fought well. They both fought really well, so respect to both men. I think Royval's still young, so I think he's still got a bit of time to get back to the title if he wants. Who's next for Pantoja? Amir Albazi. Yeah, the winner of Amir Albazi and Brandon Moreno. It would be nice to see a fresh contender though fight the champion at flyweight, because we've seen enough of Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo. In the featured bout, SHAVKAT Rachmonov submits Wonderboy at the end of round 3. In the first round, Wonderboy was doing some good striking and doing well, and I wish he sort of capitalised on that more. If he capitalised on that more, he could have hurt Rachmonov. He clinched. He wasn't even interested in striking with Wonderboy, and it was a little disappointing, or very disappointing I should say, because in the last fight that SHAVKAT had against Jeff Neal, if that's the right opponent, he looked so sloppy and in the striking, he got beat up. I kind of wanted to see how he looked against Wonderboy, and I guess it wouldn't have been much better, but he was not interested in striking with Wonderboy, and that was disappointing. So he took the easy way to beat him, clinched him for most of the fight, then he ended up taking him down and then eventually submitting him. But I feel like a younger Wonderboy may have taken a few more chances to begin with to not allow any of that to happen and maybe knocked him out. But it's hard to say, again, an older fighter, that if only he was Wonderboy today, he could have had more. I mean, a younger Wonderboy coming up, he could have had more skills, and I know it takes so long to learn grappling and wrestling, but yeah, it's a win for Shavkat. I think he had an injury and therefore didn't really want to strike, but it wasn't an impressive performance. It was impressive, it was, but we wanted to see him strike. And I wanted to see more of his striking just because of the last fight, and because he hasn't really shown much of the striking to be that refined in actuality, even though he's very good at striking. Like, I want to see his defense in the striking. I don't think he's ready for a title shot next. I think he needs to fight, who else is up there? He should have a number one contender fight. So whoever is eligible for that, they should be the next in line. I think that's what should happen, because I just don't think this version of Shavkat is ready for Leon. I think Leon will be able to handle any wrestling and all that stuff, and then he'll just be able to strike as well. So I want to see more of his game. But if he can get through the next guy, who's going to be in the top 5 or whatever, then sure, he can be next for Leon. For Wonderboy, yeah, go fight Colby if you really want to, but do you really want to? We'll see. Wonderboy is great though. He's 40 years old, so he doesn't really need to fight if he wants to, but I guess he still wants to. It's really hard to watch these fighters that are older saying, oh, I guess he'll get the belt, but such a small window to get it, really. Paddy Pimblettert defeats Tony Ferguson by unanimous decision. Yeah, tough one, because we all love Tony, but he looks better. He looked better than his last fights, actually. He looked better, but then again, he needed to be a little busier to fight Pimblettert, and he just wasn't taking the punches well, and he just wasn't strong or fast enough. It was just, if he was younger, then sure, he would have looked way better, but he's just worn out now, and it sucked because you could tell that he really worked, and he looked good. He looked good compared to how he has looked. It was also frustrating too, because Paddy was gassed, but Tony just wasn't strong enough to get Paddy off him in the grappling, and if he could have got separation, he may have been able to put some striking on him. It sucks. I want to see Tony retire, because it's getting a bit too ridiculous now, and I think Tony will be a great coach. I think he can still be competitive in other ways. He doesn't need to be competitive with his body though anymore. He can train other students, which he's already doing, but he can be an excellent coach and teammate. So I hope he refocuses on that and realizes that he doesn't need to be in the cage anymore, because it's a sacrifice every time you go in there, and he's got to think of his family and how long he wants to be around for, and how much of a mind he wants left. So, and I think I just think he's such a warrior. He probably wants to die in there, and if that's what he wants, then so be it. I don't know. I don't think I'll be excited about watching him fight anymore, because this was kind of like the last hurrah to see whether or not he could. And it was somewhat competitive, but in the he just does. I feel like Tony, if he just had more strength left in his body, and if he had just a little bit more speed, he would have got Paddy out of there. It's just, but the speed and the power, I think he's lost the power. Like, some guys don't lose power and strength when they get older, but I think Tony has, from all the weight cuts he's done, and I think it's deteriorated his body a little bit. And also the damage, I think it's deteriorated his body a bit. So if he still had a bit more strength, he probably would have had a lot more success, but also the speed. But it wasn't just that, it was also he needed to be busier, and when you're fighting someone that's in their prime, that's very difficult, especially when you've been through many wars. So I wish Tony all the best. I think he should retire. For Paddy, yeah, I thought he fought well. I thought he did well. He clearly won the fight. Yeah, I think he should fight more big names, but people that are maybe beatable for him, because he's definitely not going to be getting in the top 5 anytime soon. So maybe someone like R.D.A would be good for him. That'll be a fun fight, actually. Yeah, and that'll be a step up too. So that would be good. So first fight of the main card was Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell replaced Giga Chikadze on 2 weeks' notice, and Josh Emmett knocks him out with the most amazing knockout I've seen in a while. In the first round, just a minute and a half in or 2 minutes in, and it was like boom. And I love Bryce Mitchell, but I feel so good for Josh Emmett, because he's been on that skid and he lost the chance to get the interim belt, and I just felt so bad for him, because I really liked his journey, and he's an older guy in the featherweight division. I think he's 38, so just see him get this win, I feel so happy for him, because I was just feeling really sorry for him. I always feel bad when fighters just don't get their shot, but I mean, he got his shot, but he failed. But to have this win is amazing for him. So, but I feel bad for Bryce too, because I love Bryce and he's a crazy guy, but yeah, oh God. It was an amazing knockout. I hope he's okay though. When I was watching the fight, I just saw it come. I saw that something was going to happen, and I know I'm saying this, and how could I have known? But I'm like, oh, Bryce, he isn't throwing anything. He isn't threatening any takedowns. He is not going to get any respect from Josh. And then Josh just leapt in and went. It was incredible. And he got Bryce right on the front of the head. And I've never really seen that before, where someone can knock someone right out like that. It was like Ngannou knocking someone out cold. That's how powerful that punch was. I can't believe how much force that guy has in his body. He's crazy. For Bryce, I think he needs to stop taking short notice fights. He's very focused on his farm. He's very focused and passionate about Jesus and all that stuff. And he means well. I think he's trying to empower people, which is really great, and I think that's what we need. I think that he's involved with a lot of different things, but he needs to be focused on fighting if he wants to fight. And if he's going to take a fight, please have a training camp, because you just got to be ready for it, conditioned, and you've got to be sparring. And Emmett is a dangerous fight, and he's just fallen short of, like, he fell short against Ilya Topuria, and before that was Ilya Rodriguez, and they're both really, really talented. So, and the thing about Bryce is that he's gotten a little bit better at striking, but if only he could fully focus on fighting, I think Bryce would be really good. But I think that his other interests they're not holding him back, they're enriching his life, and he loves that, and he's living the life he wants to. But I think next time, definitely give yourself more of a chance. And that's the other thing, farm work is really hard on the body, so you could injure yourself quite easily. I think he probably needs a bit of a break now though, after that KO, obviously. Bryce needs a tune-up fight next, although I think he won his last fight before that. I think he needs to just be prepared for his next fight. For Bryce, I think someone like Brian Ortega, if he's still gonna, because Brian Ortega's had a few setbacks, he's had a few injuries, not a bad matchup, but he's ranked quite high compared to where Bryce is going to fall now, because he's going to probably go down, maybe 10. Arnold Allen, good, too high, okay. So Bryce could even fight Giga Chikadze. He's already fought all those guys. Yeah, I don't know, it's a tough spot. Maybe Bryce just needs to take some time off and then fight someone who's coming off a loss. Maybe someone that's fallen from the top 5 or the top 10 and take it from there. For Emmett though, yeah, Emmett could fight. Oh, he would kill Brian Ortega. Has he fought Arnold Allen? Maybe Arnold Allen or something. If you haven't gone and watched the prelims, go watch them, because they were really cool competitive fights. I think Irene Aldana and Carl Rosa got the fight of the night. They just beat each other up and traded. I didn't really enjoy that, to be honest, but I think other people enjoyed it, so yeah. I respect that they're both that tough, but I was like, oh, that's... I remember just watching thinking, there's no defense here, I don't really enjoy it, and they were just standing, trading in front of each other, and they weren't really... I have to re-watch it, but I just remember thinking, what? I didn't think that was that great, but anyway. Casey O'Neill is an Australian. Yeah, she came up short. I think Casey needs a bit more experience. She's hasn't had that many fights. She's fought a lot on the regional scene before coming to the UFC. I think she just needs a few more fights to get back into her mojo. I think she would even benefit, maybe... I guess it's hard to say, isn't it? I think she just needs a couple of tune-up fights now. She hasn't really performed. Apparently she's really good in the gym, but on fight night she doesn't show up. So she just needs a few fights to sort of ease into. Cody Garbrandt got an amazing knockout over Brian Kelleher, which was great to see because he looked really, really good. He didn't get hit, which was great. Great to see him get that win. Alonzo Metafield and... Oh, that's a good fight. Watch that. That was a really good fight. Yeah, so apart from that, we had Sean Strickland and Dracus du Plessis get into a scuff, cage side. Dana even admitted that he put them close together. He didn't mean to. He wasn't thinking that they'll get into a fight, but that's what happened. So, yeah, yeah, stuff like that happens. So I'm not pointing the finger at anyone. That's just what happens. So it's a bit of fun, but the main thing is no one got hurt, and they're about to fight soon. So that's what we want. But yeah, that's going to be a heck of a fight. I think anyone could win that fight. Du Plessis is just so big and crazy. You never know with him. Yes, that's about it. Thanks for coming by, and have a nice Christmas holiday, and hopefully get some time off. And thanks for, the support. I'll be back next year, see what I can do, and see you around the traps. Take care.